In today's video, we are going to talk about Vjeko Slisko, unofficially the Croatian Godfather, officially the king of poker machines. Early years. Already as a young man, Slisko started dealing with dubious businesses. In the late 1980s, he founded the company Bonaparte and started working with poker machines. During the 1990s, Zlatko Bagaric and Vjeko Slisko ruled the Croatian underground. Bagaric and Slisko met in 1988 in Germany. Young Slisko was delighted with Bagaric when they met in Wiesbaden, or nearby Mainz. Slisko's brother had a restaurant in Wiesbaden, and so did Bagaric. After returning to Croatia, they were seen spending evenings together in Bagaric's Tiffany casino. According to stories circulating in the Zagreb underground, the conflict between the two broke out in 1993 after a game of barbut in the Kiss casino in Dubrava, Zagreb. There was gambling for 2 days and 3 nights. In the end, Bagaric lost a considerable sum of money, and that's when he and Vjeko Slisko went opposite ways. That's when the fight for the gambling market started. Bagaric wanted the casinos, and Slisko wanted poker machines. They were in competition with each other, and Bagaric concluded that Slisko should be removed. Money was never an issue with them. Vanity was important. And that's why they had a fight, and it was a fight for the gambling market. There have been liquidations of people linked directly to Slisko, while there were no apparent attacks from the other side. How did he survive? The conflict erupted into bloodshed and a series of liquidations that are still unresolved. Vjeko Slisko was wounded for the first time after a conflict with the steward of the Sokol Club, Damir Kovacevic Sharif, in 1991. After kicking him out of the club, Slisko returned with the team holding a shotgun in his hand. Sharif grabbed him and shot him in the body from close range with a pistol, so that even the bulletproof vest he was wearing did not help. But he survived, even though Sharif fired at least 8 bullets into him. He was hit in the heart, lungs, and femur, and spent 15 days in a coma. Damir was shot on February 2, 1993, in front of his house. He received a faux offer for a well-paid job. He went crazy and went to the meeting. When he was returning home, Mijat Verdolyak, aka Shaban, killed him with a Kalashnikov. Slisko thus acquired bodyguard Ivica Bertic, known as the Russian. They met in 1992 at the Bonaparte Cafe in Dubrava. During the following years, they became friends, and since have spent every day together. As Slisko had problems with certain people, a bodyguard offered protection and was always by his side to make sure that nothing happens to him. The Russian started being Slisko's official personal bodyguard in 1995. It's a good thing he found a bodyguard, because someone tried to kill him with a machine gun in Maksimirska, Zagreb in 1995. While he was getting into a car, someone fired 47 shots with a submachine gun. Slisko was then again seriously wounded in the arm and leg, but he survived the assassination just as he did 2 years earlier. In the same year, someone still unknown tried to kill Vjeko with a rocket launcher in Zagreb. It was unsuccessful because the assassin did not remove the protective cap from the pipe, so there was no real detonation. If he had, many people would have died. The perpetrators were finally caught. A dozen members of the criminal organization, popularly known as the Princes Group, were arrested. They accused Nikita Jelavic of being the head of the gang. He succeeded Zlatko Bagaric in that position. He was also charged with 2 attempted murders of Vjeko Slisko. After the trial, he was relieved of the murder charges and spent some minor time in prison. At the same time, he acquired the image of a leader in the Zagreb underground. He came to this by surviving multiple assassination attempts. They couldn't find a way to get to Slisko because he had become more cautious after the attacks. So one evening in December 1999, Vlado Kasalo, a former football player of Dinamo, entered Club Maksimir. Slisko was already in the restaurant, accompanied by a dozen security guards. Kasalo was known to invite people to meetings, and those people would magically disappear. Slisko invited him to his table, kissed him, and then butchered and put glass in his mouth. He said that after kissing Slisko, he took out a gun and said, "We are Catholics," which was the code for the start of the beating. If he had said anything to the police, Slisko would have known everything immediately tomorrow. He also had a private prison where he tortured people, and his tool of choice was a hammer. One final failed assassination attempt on Slisko was in 1999, when they tried to blow his Grand Cherokee up. Realization. Slisko retreated and appeared rarely in public, but as his enemies fell to the law, Vjeko realized that the old business model had rung its bell. He saw that the entire balance of power shifted and wanted to build a new image overnight and gain allies in the new elite. His apartment was huge, an entire floor of a building in the center of Zagreb, filled with expensive art, an ideal place for pompous business meetings with the political elite. At the same time as the dealings in the underground, he came to an idea to try and build an image of a polished businessman for the public. In 2001, he came out of the underground with an interview about business and politics. The journalist asked him if there was anything in the fact that they had attempted to kill him 4 times, and he ironically replied, "They also shot at the Pope." That sounded like some kind of a movie replica. Slisko was desperate to change his image, so he tried to gain more contacts in the media. He tried to meet a few journalists in a friendly way, and even bribe them so that they would stop writing negatively about him. 5th time is the charm. A few months after emerging from the underground, he was liquidated. He survived 4 assassination attempts until 2001, when he was killed at the age of 32 in the center of Zagreb. The 5th attempt was successful. He was shot by a Belgian mercenary who had worked in the Croatian military, James Kapiao. Slisko's bodyguard chased after Kapiao and shot him just a few minutes later with a pistol. At the time of the attack, Kapiao had with him 2 Tauruses, 2 M75 bombs, an Agram machine gun with a sniper and silencer, and 3 magazines with 28 bullets each, so he was ready for potential failure. Based on the choice and quantity of weapons, Kapiao was not a professional, but a lunatic. It's as if he was moving, so he took all his weapons with him. For professional liquidation in the center of the city, 1 good pistol is enough, not 2 bad revolvers, an unreliable and half-finished automatic pistol, and bombs. Vjeko Slisko died on March 30, 2001, after 2 weeks in the hospital, and was buried on April 2 in Mirogoj. He gave an interview as a poker machine king 8 hours before his liquidation, where he said, "After all the assassinations, I'm not afraid of anything anymore. I survived only thanks to luck, and today I don't really fear for my life. I also taught my wife how not to be afraid, because even in these circumstances I try to live normally." And he actually did try to live normally. In fact, at the time he was killed, he was about to go to a new meeting with a journalist to complete the biographical article. Marko Nikolic Marconi, a member of the opposing clan, was accused of helping with the assassination. As a matter of fact, he was the one who contacted Kapiao. He is on the run ever since. It's always the wife. In later years, during the trial, Marko Slisko, Vjeko's brother, claimed that Daniela Slisko, the widow of his murdered brother, and her future husband, Drazen Golemovic, had their hands in the assassination. Marko said that on the day when Vjeko was going to the interview, his wife hid the gun so he came out unarmed, which he never did. Then she called and informed Golemovic, who called the fugitive Marko Nikolic, and the latter called James Kapiao. He brought all this up later when Daniela decided to marry Golemovic. He didn't speak before because it was a shame for the family, and he wanted to spare Vjeko's children from it. He explained that the information about the participation of Daniela Slisko and Golemovic in the murder was given to him by Marconi, who called him from South America. Well, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Also ring that bell so you don't miss any of our future uploads. Till next time.